I'm your MC for What's Your Story with Sarah McIver. And if I say Marco, you say
hello.
Welcome to our show. We welcome our security consultant, Clarence Jar from Compound Security Services. And we have a very special guest today. Her name is Jacquie McIver, and she is the founder and president of Jeremiah's Voice. And right now, let's meet her and meet Sarah McIver.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. We have an incredible show today with Jacquie here. I'm really excited about this episode with Jacquie. Her story really hit home with me on a very personal level. Very inspirational, strong woman. One of the reasons why this hit home so strongly for me is she was dealing with a family issue that is carrying her through today, you know, from the birth of her child. And that hits home with me just because of the fact I know how genetic diseases or disabilities can affect people, especially having one myself with at some point needing a kidney transplant with polycystic kidney disease. So a little background on my story as you continue to get to know me. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump right on in. Jacquie, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being on the show. Really happy to have you here.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. I am elated and I'm so grateful that we were able to connect. We're able to connect at a people level. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when you meet people, you don't know where you connect at them. But meeting you and learning about who you are and learning about how the connections and what I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis really resonated with me.
So let's start with that. Tell me what brought you here today, the beginning of your story.
Wow. It was really interesting. I'm a single mom of a wonderful special needs little boy. And I say special needs because that's the common term people can associate with, but he's an angel. He's 9 years old now. And the story began 9 years ago when he was born. He was 1 pound and he was 15 ounces. And they gave him 24 hours to live. And I had a choice as a mother to whether I was going to let him live or reset or not. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've never been a mother. That was my first child and only child. But I was not giving up on my son. And laying in the hospital room with them telling me they don't know what's going on and why he keeps going cold blue and time after time, I said, God, I used to be a pastor. So I used to preach the word of God, and I was sharing with someone the other day, but I didn't know God until that day, because I had a decision to believe everything I've ever taught anybody else about faith, that my son can live. And I began to declare what I know to be true, that my son was going to live. And I told the doctors, I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I have no idea what this life is going to look like, but I believe, God, that my son is to live, and he shall not die, and he will declare the works of the Lord. That's what started this whole journey. I had to give up everything because my son requires medical attention that I didn't even understand. I had machines in my house. I didn't even know what they were, but they would beep all the time, 24 hours a day. And you know what, Sarah, the hardest part for me was I didn't go to school for medical. Matter of fact, I didn't do well in biology, so that's not my background. I'm a business major.
Yeah. And
I'm sitting here looking at equipment and the lights going off, and I'm panicking, not realizing, he was stable, but then sometimes he did cold blue on me twice at home. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Lord, what do I do? I had nowhere to go and nowhere to turn to but my faith.
Those are some very scary moments to pull yourself through.
Absolutely.
On those moments. I know my brother, while he was on dialysis, went code blue, a couple times, and that was very scary. I can't begin to tell you how many times we thought we were going to lose him before he ended up getting his kidney transplant.
Exactly.
So those are moments that really try us, and they really test us, don't they?
Absolutely.
They really do.
Wow.
Tell me about, besides your faith, who was your support system that you were able to lean on during this time?
Well, unfortunately, and the truth of the matter is, I didn't lean on the place that I thought I could go to, which would be the church. I had to lean on people who didn't know me, who didn't know anything about my past. And I had to ask for help. And that's hard when you don't know what you need help for. My son required 24-hour medical attention, so I had to get nursing care in my house. I had to get therapy services, things I never heard of, never even understood. And still at that point, my son had no diagnosis. So it wasn't until he was a year old that they were able to tell me, oh, he has cerebral palsy. And it wasn't until he was 6 years old that they told me, oh, he has autism. Or later on, they told me he has IDD. And I'm like, what does all this mean? Well, your son's not going to be able to walk. Your son's not going to be able to talk. Basically, he's going to be just existing. And I looked at the doctors, and I have 9 of them, and I said, no, that's not my son. You're not going to define my son. So I had to learn real quick to bring on the people who believe like me to rally around me. And God sent an angel, my goddaughter, who I call my daughter. She lives with me now to help me with my son, but that's her little brother. She came in and moved from clear across the state, the United States, to come and stay with me just so that he would have somebody to help him and so I can get some sleep. Because honestly, you can't sleep when you have medical attention like that. And so I had to rally into people that didn't know me. She didn't know me, but she saw a need and she moved all the way over from another state to Texas to stay with me just so that I would be able to have stability in the home.
Now that's really, really putting a new definition on paying it forward.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
So what does a day look like in care for your son, for Jeremiah?
The first 6 years were really challenging because everywhere he goes, I have to transport him, I have to carry him. And at the time when he was small, it was cute. You had the little car seat, you had the little carrier, you could do it. Now he is 9 years old, 4 feet tall, 4 inches, and 65 pounds. And I have to carry him up the steps everywhere he goes. Every time he comes out the house, every time he comes in the house. The good thing is, Sarah, when I said they told me he wouldn't walk and talk, now my son, who has only been talking for 3 years, now reads at his age appropriate and above his reading level. So he's able to articulate and express things to me that I didn't know. I didn't have to figure out.
And they told you he was never going to be able to do that.
Ever.
Isn't that an amen, hallelujah
Exactly.
moment? Absolutely. That's incredible.
Exactly. So for me, it's kind of like every season of life it changed. Initially, it was medical fragile, focusing on everything, making sure he's alive, making sure sustainability. Now that he's 9, making sure I go to school, he's learning. Making sure they're treating him as a human being, making sure they're respecting his dignity and respecting his space, even though he's in a wheelchair. So the day-to-day living can change based on the time of life that the child is in. Initially, it was all medical. I had 9 doctors telling me, well, you got to do this, you got to take this medicine. That was the whole life. Now it's like, I see the doctors, they'll do follow-up, but now it's like, where is he going? What road is he going on?
How did you maintain your mental health during all of this? Really?
I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, wanted to, but didn't. I honestly, my prayer life, my life, and my relationship with God, I honed into the only thing that I knew. The only thing I understood, the only thing that made sense to me was the Lord.
I can only imagine the conversations you had.
And some were good,
Yeah.
and some were not. but I believe that God loves us so much that He knows us before we even knew ourselves, and He taught me He's real, He's alive, He's relevant.
Do you think your ministry in the church helped you through this? Your background as being a minister. Tell me about that.
You know, it's funny that you say that because when you think of ministry, you think of the pulpit, you're preaching the word. What really helped me was growing up in the church, learning how to pray. Going to prayer meetings all the time. My grandmother would have me in prayer meetings almost 7 days a week when she could in the summer times. And that's what I anchored. That's what I went into. Learning about the Bible and quoting scriptures at 5 or 6 years old, I now can regurgitate those scriptures now in times of need. So when things are facing me and someone says, I can't, I teach my son. But the funny thing is because Jeremiah can read, Jeremiah now quotes four chapters in the Bible.
That is incredible.
Every day, every night before he goes to bed.
That is absolutely incredible. What was some of your favorite scriptures that you used?
The first one is 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. If he don't learn nothing else, he must learn about God's love, the true meaning of love. So he quotes that, and that's one of my favorites because it teaches him he's loved. So he's valued, he's important. Because at the end of the day, we all know we have an identity. We have to be able to know who we are. No matter what belief you believe in, no matter where you walk in life, if you don't know your identity, you're just lost.
Doesn't that just give you goosebumps? Oh man. So tell me about your son's personality. Tell us about Jeremiah.
He is the amazing kid, and I don't say this as a mom. I've never seen a kid go through 11 surgeries in 9 years, major surgeries, and smile every day. From the time he was in an incubator with 19 tubes coming out of him, needles everywhere from his brain to his feet, he smiled every day. And that's the only thing I can remember out of anything. When I was medicated, drugged up, not feeling well, he would smile. And he can come out of surgery with a smile. That's what Jeremiah is. His personality is infectious. He will draw you to him. He will make you think you can do anything just by smiling and laughing. Now he's a jokester. Now he tells you, oh my God. He had us in the car the other day, 2.5 hours, and he started singing Hollywood Swinging by Kool and the Gang.
Oh, that is amazing.
I had to put that on my social media because I was amazed, like, what song? And he started singing.
Share that with
oh
me.
my God. When I tell you he laughs, he enjoys laughter. And I'm thinking, this is a 9-year-old boy. He's had his brain, doesn't have the right side of his brain.
Wow.
He's had his hips placed, his knees. He's had 11 major surgeries in 9 years, and yet he can laugh. There's nothing I can't go through that I won't be able to make it. My son can do that. That's why he's my inspiration. So you want to know his personality? Just looking at him. Just looking at his smile.
It
that
sounds
will draw
like
you
he
to
is
him.
the spirit of joy.
He is. He
Yeah.
is. And his weeping. Because Jeremiah is just like the word says, he is a weeping prophet. He will cry because he cares about other people. And that I love about him.
Wow, that is very, very powerful. And to think that they said to you, this was a little boy that was not going to survive.
Exactly.
And he's still able to experience joy in life for himself. That is very, very impactful. So what are some of your other fond memories over the last 9 years that you've experienced? Because it must be difficult.
Oh, it is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say everything is glorious. It is not. Most of the days I cried a lot. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of people who didn't understand my life. I'm no longer available and accessible like I used to be because my son is my ministry and my priority. That's who I go to. And that was hard for people to process because I used to be single and free, doing whatever I wanted. And everybody used to be going here and there, but no longer.
That is an example of people not showing empathy, to other people walking in shoes they don't understand.
Exactly. But you know what? I always believe there's a ram in the bush. I've had several friends who, for seasons, were in my life, and they were very supportive. They were there. They would be at the hospitals with me. They would go to doctor's appointments with me, and it was good. But there's a lot of lonely isolations because sometimes as a mom, I'm going to be honest with you, the first 18 months, I blamed myself for his condition. I didn't know. I thought maybe because I was a pastor, I was single, and I got pregnant. Somebody told me, some pastors had told me there was a punishment for my disobedience.
Oh, that's
and
terrible.
I said,
shame on them.
But you know what? It taught me the love of God. Has nothing to do with what anyone else has said. So for me, the greatest, fondest moments I look into is every encounter I learned to grow in God. And looking at Jeremiah and listening to him tell jokes and listening to him read books. Do you realize I was reading a book about a caterpillar, metamorphosize. I'm about to teach him how to say the word. He's like, metamorphosize, and he spells the word.
Good for him.
I didn't even know how to enunciate it.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm amazed, because one of the things we do, these kids with a disability, don't define them and don't judge them, because they are geniuses. They will create the solutions for the problems that you see them in. And so for me, it is like, I don't believe there's nothing Jeremiah can't do. Jeremiah went to camp in North Carolina. He was 6 years old. I left him for a week. I went and had a vacation, and he was at camp by himself. And at that time, he was limited verbal. So he couldn't tell anybody anything. He came back in the car ready to do everything on his own. As
That is
independent.
incredible.
So for me, I believe exposure is the critical component. Never limit your child. Don't lock them in a room. Don't leave them in a bed. Try to expose them, because exposure does good for everybody, whether disability or without. And it opens him up to now he's like, I'm going to camp next summer. Yes, you are. Somewhere soon you're going to camp. So now he's anticipating change, and he don't mind being away from me. That's a blessing.
That is a blessing.
And I trust God that he'll take care of him. Do you see what I'm saying? So
I do.
if you don't give up on them, Sarah, they will live. And they will live their best life. And they'll teach you how to live your best life. And that's what Jeremiah does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's about?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That is.
So there's no do-overs.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. No, and I know that firsthand.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because you're a walking miracle.
I am.
You
So
know?
is my father, my brother.
Yes.
We are walking miracles, actually. My father ended up getting his kidney transplant at age 42 when he was in renal failure. My brother went through renal failure at age 38, got a kidney transplant approximately 17 weeks ago. He's on dialysis for over 8 years. Absolutely waiting for a kidney transplant.
Excellent.
So I can't begin to tell you how many times we almost lost him, and having that trial and that tribulation, it really strengthens you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely really strengthens you. So you have to find an internal place internal place to rely on something deeper than yourself.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
that's the sole purpose for living. We're not here for ourselves.
Yeah.
We're here for other people.
Absolutely.
And so we learned that principle. My son's taught me that. He came into my life to teach me to live. Now we're living together.
And so when we get back, we're going to talk more about how we serve and live and give together after these messages.
Welcome to WOAW Media. I am Katrina Loco, the CEO. I want to tell you about something exciting that's happening here in our studio, in our office. We are hosting workshops, and not just any workshops. If you are an existing business ready to take your business to the next level, we are the one-stop shop. I'm telling you, we got some surprises for you. We've got some things that'll help you take your business past anything that you could even think. I'm not kidding you. You may be a business and you may be saying, I'm stuck. I've come this far, but now for some reason in my business, I'm stuck. What is it? Well, we may have the answer for you, but you won't know until you talk to us and let us show you how to take your business, like I said, to the next level. If you want to start a business or thinking of something you can do to make extra money, we can help you with that too. Join us.
Hi, welcome back to What's Your Story with Sarah Markopoulos. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Jackie, thank you for being a part of our show. I wanted to talk to you about some of the things we're doing to give back and serve. So you recently, the last couple of years, started your foundation, Jeremiah's Voice. Tell us a little bit about that. What is the foundation and its mission?
Absolutely. First of all, the decision was made when I was turning 50 years old. I know I don't look it, but I was turning 50 years old.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And instead of me doing a party to celebrate me, I wanted to do something to celebrate others. And I had a vision to start a foundation, a public charity called Jeremiah's Voice. And its whole mission is to help people live beyond their disabilities. When a few years back, I took my son to Disney World. And we had a fabulous time. Someone blessed us with a beautiful trip to go. And the experience that he had, I said, you know what, there are other families that need this same opportunity. And I understand it's costly to go. So I want to start something to help those families be able to usher them into a new experience, like vacation, which typical people do every year, and give them that exposure. And so in order to do that, a nonprofit is the best channel and the best way to do that. So we launched Jeremiah's Voice on my 50th birthday, and we actually gave a family a trip to Disney World.
That is
a
incredible.
5-day, 4-night, fully paid vacation for a family caring for a special needs child. We had a selection. As long as they were a Texas resident, they could qualify. They went through our due diligence process. And in that, we learned so much more about what family needs are. My God, people don't even think they could ever go on a vacation because they're so focused on the medical aspect.
Right.
And our whole motto is focusing on living beyond disability. It's that living aspect.
You know, I love that. Say that again.
Living beyond disability. It's the living, because we
that's
forget
powerful.
to live. We forget to live.
We do.
Honestly, I did. For
Yeah.
many years, I stopped living. Everything was going to a doctor's appointment, going to therapy, and I didn't teach my son to live. But we have to let ourselves live. And so we started a nonprofit. We started with vacations giveaway, and then we started doing things where we do holiday programs. We're launching some new things in 2020, but the most important thing I want people to understand is we want people to live. Because every child has an opportunity and has a purpose. And some children cannot navigate. Some people, like my son, is in a wheelchair, okay? He can't navigate like the other kids. But however, there are always ways to live. There's camps they can go to. Do you know there's movies they can go to? Get out of the house. Don't restrict your child because of the definition of a
Do you
disability.
see that happening a lot?
Oh my
Families
God.
restricting their children.
Absolutely. Well, they don't. If they restrict them, and then family members around them restrict them because they isolate.
Okay.
Because people don't understand. They don't know
Right.
how to associate with a kid who's in a wheelchair.
What are some of the things you would like them to understand, or the misconceptions that you would like to break?
The biggest break is people with a disability are human beings, period.
Right.
They have feelings, emotions, they have thoughts, whether they can speak or not speak, whether they use an equipment to communicate their thoughts, whether they are looking at you and that's all they can do, whether they smile. They're human beings. They bleed when you cut them. They have to put on clothes like you do. They're no different. They just have a unique ability to life than you do. Appreciate and value them.
Absolutely.
And my biggest thing is, don't judge my son because he's in a wheelchair and you may see his head rocking. Because he's a genius. And he may be the one that has a solution for your need, but because you judged him, you discriminated against him. And disabilities people are always discriminated based on preconceived notions. Get to know them. They're human beings. They want to be talked to. They want to be heard. They want to be heard. And even if they're saying the same thing over and over, let them be themselves, because really, reality is we all have a disability. Some are identified and some are unidentified, because we have issues with things in life and we all want to be valued and appreciated. So if everybody can just respect people as human beings first and then allow people to find out about them. The reason I said isolation, because family members don't know how to associate. Since my son doesn't walk, people don't know how to come and play with him or come and talk with him. I have to tell my own family members, talk to Jeremiah. Don't ask me, ask him how he's doing. He'll tell you. You see what I'm saying? But when you have those kind of components and you're so focused on that medical, making sure they're alive, making sure they survive, they just want to live. They want to laugh. They want to watch television. They want to play on their iPads. They want to play with toys. Whatever their age group, they want to do something in life. Matter of fact, Jeremiah's current neurologist is a medical doctor who has cerebral palsy, just like Jeremiah. And she is a neurologist who is discovering new ways. What happens if someone has stopped her as a kid?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do they function as adults later in life?
Well, no one knows your future at the end of the day. But the one thing we have a responsibility is when they're children, expose them, teach them, let them know they can do anything, just like you tell any other kid. You can be anything you want to be. And then let them find out what they, pay attention. When you start paying attention to these kids and they're learning technology just like that, do you realize that they could get a job doing beta testing for a lot of these companies and give them feedback by literally doing a couple of keypads? They have a purpose. Find that purpose. Find out what they like to do.
Are those going to be some educational programs down the road the foundation is going to be offering?
We want to offer some of that, but I want to connect to other organizations. One of the things I love about this area, there's a lot of organizations that focus in on certain niche. And I'm not trying to duplicate anything. I'm trying to bring in partners together so that they're doing something, they're doing it well. How can we support one another? Because at the end of the day, the disability community is growing by leaps and bounds. 1 out of 6 kids is being diagnosed with autism. Let's be real. That's affecting somebody.
That's a big number.
That's affecting
a very,
somebody
very big
else.
number.
Now we have mental illness, which is also part of disability. We all know that that's changing the trajectory of the whole world. So we have to learn how to niche together. So if you're focusing on research, let's get behind them. If they're focusing on sports, let's get behind them. If they're focused on daily needs, meeting their day-to-day needs, let's get behind them. I believe in collaboration is the key for success for any community. And we are a community.
Now, what are some of the financial goals that the foundation has with raising funds?
Our biggest thing is,
especially for the holidays.
You got that right. Our big initiative right now, I'm so glad you brought that up, is we call a Hope for the Holidays. And it's very different. We provide catered meals. We bring the meals to the family on Christmas Eve, so that Christmas Day, all they have to do is heat it up. We feed up to 6 family members. Then we give them age-specific, disability-appropriate. You know why I say that? Because when my son was 4 years old, I had a good friend of mine bring my son a bike. But my son is in a wheelchair.
Right.
He didn't know. He just knew I had a little boy. And, it wasn't a malicious thing. He just didn't know. So sometimes you don't know how to give a gift. There are kids out there who are 16 years old.
he felt awkward, didn't he?
Oh, he did. He did. And he was very apologetic. And I told him there's no need to apologize.
Right.
I'm just appreciative for the thoughtfulness. But there are families out there who don't get gifts because you got a 16-year-old who has autism, who's on the spectrum somewhere, but his cognitive level is a 3-year-old.
How large is that spectrum?
I don't even know the number. I honestly, the number is growing. I mean, there are numbers every day, always transcribing in terms of how many people are affected. But the thing is, a lot of times it's cognitive. So they may be 16 in age, physical and everything, but their mind may be a 3-year-old. Guess what? You can't give them a gift for a 16-year-old because they're not going to understand that gift. Or what family is going to want to tell you, go to the children's aisle. My 16-year-old son, you can get him a toy from the 3. They're not going to do that. So what do? They shy away. They don't. When it comes to the holidays, they're the most depressed, have anxiety. And it's not just because they can't give sometimes for their family. Sometimes people don't know what to give them. So Jeremiah Voice created the program for Hope for the Holidays. And so what we do is we look for partners, we look for companies, organizations, individuals who gets behind us. We work with caterers. We want people to come along and get the vision and understand we are meeting a niche market that's meeting a specific need for families. We were able to help a couple of families in the DFW area last year. And this family, one of the families in particular, their daughter was 2 years old. She had a diagnosis where she was unable to go outside and play with other kids because of her disability. We brought all the gifts. We brought her a swing, we brought her a sled, we brought all these things for her. Her and her brother and sister were able to play like typical kids. Now the child is getting stronger and healing, now is able to go out, but they use that in therapy. So everything that we get for our families, we invest in them and we give them quality gifts. We're not just giving them something just to be giving them something.
Right.
If they need an iPad, we're going to get them the latest, greatest iPad. If they're needing a device that's going to help them be independent, like there's a device, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, there's a device called a Switch, and most people don't know what that is. But it's a device where you can program the lights, the TV, and into it. And a person like my son, who has a triplegic cerebral palsy, who's only able to use one arm, can press a button and turn the TV on. Press a button, turn on and off the lights. What does that give him? That empowers him
That gives
to
him
be
his own independence.
Ding. But that device is very expensive.
Yeah.
So we need people to understand our gifts are costly,
Right.
but they're significant and they're impactful. And they can change the whole family's life forever. And that's the thing that we got back feedback from the families that we were able to help last year. And I love it. I'm excited about it. I'm trying to help people understand. Why do we give catered meals? I love giving people a box of food. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't cook for the holidays. I don't want to cook for the holidays. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I want to sleep. I want to rest. So getting a catered meal that's really good, by the way, and being able to get up and just have to heat it up, and the family can come over and everybody can celebrate.
It gives you a chance to rest.
Exactly.
How many hours in work are you putting into your foundation?
Whew. I would love to say it's a lot of hours, but honestly, I'm up at the midnight hours. I have to wait till Jeremiah stabilizes. He's sleeping. He's resting. I have to make sure my mom is good. And it's between 12 and 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when I'm writing. So people get emails first thing in the morning, like, what time do you go to bed? You don't. You have to do it when I'm off and be able to function. So I have a great board who's actually helping to expand Jeremiah's voice and getting out there in the community and meeting with other organizations, like-minded, and those who want to be exposed. The key word people are using now is called inclusion. And people use that term, but not understanding what that means. When you're including someone, you're including everybody.
Right.
And so that means you have to learn the differences on how to include them. And so we want to help and aid that. So yeah.
And that takes me to my next question on volunteering. How does someone volunteer for your organization?
Wonderful. They can actually go to our website, www.jeremiahsvoice.org, jeremiahsvoice.org, click on our form for volunteers, and they will get an email response from one of our team members to let them know where our needs are.
And what does those duties look like?
For right now, for the holidays, we're going to need people to help us go shopping and have some fun.
Most people like that.
Like that, right? Help us go shopping and be able to get the gifts distributed because we actually deliver the gifts ourselves. So I get the team of people and we go to deliver to the families within the Dallas County, the Tarrant County, Collin County, and Denton County. So I have teams of people that I'm developing. That's where the volunteers will help out. So they may take a segment for us or a section for us and deliver those gifts to those families.
Okay. And what kind of funds are you wanting to raise for your foundation by the end of the year?
I would honestly love to raise $25,000 because that would allow us to help the 10 families that have already been identified that are in need for the holidays, and allow us to go into 2020 on a good start to be able to launch some of the other initiatives as we continue to grow and get grants and get other partners upon us.
And if other families wanted to join the organization to be a part of it, how do they just go to the website as well?
Go to the website. And on the website, there are forms if you want to become a part, if you want to get on our mailing list, if you just want to know more information. And each one of those forms will tell us exactly what your needs are. And then you'll get a response back from somebody on my team.
Do you ever get any relief at home besides your goddaughter?
You know, I do have a couple of other caregivers that come in, and they help me out with Jeremiah, so that gives us, my daughter and I, some time. Of course, when we go away for camp, that helps as well. And it's limited because a lot of people don't know how to take care of someone, especially when you have to lift a 65-pound kid. You got to be strong. And at the end of the day, you got to, he's still in pull-ups, so you still have to change him. Things of that nature. A lot of people don't want to do that kind of work, and I don't need a nurse in because these basic daily needs. But, I do have some friends that will come by and give me a couple hours to sleep. But my goddaughter is my main point of view. My daughter, I don't just call her my goddaughter.
What do you do for your own self-care?
Well, I have learned in the last 18 months that I'm as important as everybody else.
Absolutely.
And so I started working out.
Okay.
Got a personal trainer, started working out, lost some weight and eating right, and I get away sometimes. I actually get away and get some time alone. I'm in the process of writing a book. We'll have to tell you about that a little bit later, but I allow myself to connect with other people. On social media, I'm part of some women groups, so I be able to empower other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to do things that are important to me, because I had to realize I'm equally as important. And if I'm better, my son will be better. And so my thing is, we have to learn to have separate lives. But he's in school, so while he's in school, I get to do some other things that I enjoy doing. I love sports. So Saturdays are my football days, and he likes cartoons. So I said, you watch the DVR cartoon, and I'm watching football. But those kind of separations, even though they're in the home, it still allows me the freedom to know he's safe, I'm safe, he's good, I'm good, and I'm able to rest.
What are some of your long-term goals you have set for the foundation?
The long-term goal is I want us in the next 3 years to be able to positively impact the 4 counties that we serve. Well, we serve all of Texas, but the 4 counties, Dallas, Collin, Denton, and Tarrant. And I target those because that's an area within our reach. I want families to know they have hope, they have inspiration. We're working with some national organizations that have come to us that we're working on a big project for next year that will allow us to get a global presence. However, in that, I want people to know that they matter, that they have a voice out there. And sometimes, Sarah, the thing that I tell people all the time, we may not have all the answers, and we may not know everything, but we will make sure we connect you to. So one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm collaborating with a lot of organizations in the area, finding out what they do well, and then be able to put them on our resource website and be able to let them know.
You have the global voice today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There you go, Sarah. See, you're starting right of the path. So I love that. Thank you for that. And just being able to find ways to help families. I had a good friend of mine, unfortunately, her daughter is being somewhat abused in one of the local school districts. And when she called me, she was like, Jackie, I know that you don't do advocacy. I said, no, we don't. I said, well, what's the situation? And she told me that. It broke my heart. And I said, nobody deserves to be treated that way. So I put her in contact with one of the top lawyers and attorneys in the area to be able to get the services they need to get that problem fixed. So we may not know the answer, I promise you, but I promise you I will find it, or I will call somebody that may know the answer.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back after these messages. Most people don't plan their financial future because it's complicated. There's so much out there, and I'm here to help you be able to navigate through that and find out exactly what's going to fit right for you. Hi, my name is Sarah Markopoulos. I'm an agent with New York Life, and I office out of Frisco, Texas. When I was a little girl, my father was a life insurance agent out of our hometown where I was born. He was a servant of the people, and I wanted to be that myself and give that to others. I knew New York Life would be the one that could help me do that. It's my clients. Each and every single one of them are different. So I help them not only enjoy the fruits of their labor, but also they'll be able to be secure in their financial future. Because either way, a choice will be made for you, whether you make one for yourself independently or life makes that choice for you. At the end of the day, you'll know you'll be okay. I came to New York Life because I love New York Life. I know what New York Life can provide for you, and I want to be able to be the one to bring that to you. Welcome back to What's Your Story with Sarah Markopoulos. Thank you so much for joining us. Jackie, I've been having so much fun having you here today. Thank you so much for being here on the show with me. I wanted to ask you just a couple more questions. I wanted to hear more about, your family life. You do so much with giving care and giving back. You also take care of your mother. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of in that sandwich community where I have a 9-year-old special needs child, but I also can take care of my mother who's 94, who has early stages of dementia. And so making sure her needs are met, being her advocate. Same thing I do for Jeremiah is the same thing I do for my mom. It's a little different because, your mother was the one who raised you.
Mm-hmm.
Now the roles have reversed. Now you have to take care of her. Well, I'm learning how to take care of him and him being a child. But, they always say the saying that God don't put more than you can bear. And I guess God felt that I could handle it. But I'll be honest with you, it's not always easy because every decision I make is for their life. So I have to be really cautious and learn information, medical stuff, talking to doctors who, of course, they know their profession. But I have to help them understand, well, you don't know my mother or you don't know my son. And I have to make decisions. And that's the scariest thing. That is, because I'm always concerned. And I had to learn not to be overly concerned. But every decision I make, the medicines that they take, making sure there's no conflicts. My mother, just a couple of weeks ago, she fell.
Oh, wow.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from her. She's on the floor. I can't lift her up. I had to go over there, get life alert, get the ambulance, everybody, to get her off the floor. Then I had to take her to the doctor, make sure she doesn't have x-rays. So my dynamics can change just like that. And so people around me have to understand things happen and I have to respond because their lives are depending upon me. And first of all, I had to learn one big valuable lesson: God trusts me.
Yes.
And the fact that God trusts me is the thing that keeps me going, even on my darkest days, because He must see something in me that I may not even see. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I don't. But I do know that He wouldn't give me this opportunity.
Tell me an inspirational moment in some of your darkest trials you've experienced.
When I am crying and I am crying out, which often happens, be honest with you, I've learned to be transparent with God and transparent with people. And I tell people, you're coming into my life, I'm going to be genuine, authentic. I'm always going to be loving and compassionate. But when I'm having a bad day, allow me to have that bad day.
Absolutely.
Don't think just because I'm a preacher or I know the Word of God that I don't feel things, because I do, because that's my mom. Mm-hmm. I cry when my mom was on the floor. When they're getting ready to take my son back for a surgery, I cry and I sit there and I'm just like everybody else. But I have to just hone in and say, okay, God, what's going to happen? And that's how I get my strength. And when people allow me to be me, they get the better me, because then I'm able to be able to give to them as well. So when I'm down, I allow myself to be down. Sometimes I don't get out of the bed. Mm-hmm. I do a Hallmark day all weekend long. Watch it right now, Christmas time. Yeah, watch the movies. I do that. And that's my escape, to get away from everything. And so I have to be real. I don't get over deep and spiritual where I can't relate to anybody, but I get true to who I am and who I'm called to be. And that's the reality that I live in. And I try to help other people to understand that's how it is. So when I talk with you, Sarah, like today, if something happened to Jeremiah, I might not have could have made it here. And I would need you to understand, I'm not coming here because I don't want to be here, because it's never that. But they are depending upon my life and my decisions. And I can't be a selfish person. You have to be a selfless person. And I live not for me, I live for others. And I learned that at an early age. I didn't know what it meant, but I now understand that's it. In order for them to live, I have to live.
The greatest love is to give of your life to someone else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So on the legal side, how did you get everything set up on the legal side?
I had to learn real quick some law terms. I had to learn power of attorneys and setting up wills and trusts and living life, what do they call it, living wills and all that kind of stuff. The good thing is with my mom, she was able to articulate before her dementias kicked in what her will was. So I honor that. One of the things about my mom, because when elderly gets older, they don't filter really well. They kind of say what they want to say. But I've learned that.
They've earned that right, don't you think?
Absolutely. 94? Yes, and she still cooks her own.
Yeah.
But what I say to her is, what is your will? So when she fell the other day, and I said, Mom, are you hurt? Are you really in pain? Is there anything broken? I had to medically check her out. She says, but I don't want to go to the hospital. I didn't impose my will on her, because after they checked her, made sure she could able to walk and navigate, I said, we'll get to the doctor the very next day. And that's what we did. I could have taken her to the hospital, but then I would have put my mom in a situation that she wasn't even ready for, mentally or cognitively. So when you're caring for somebody, you have to think about them before you think about what's convenient for you, because the convenience is not the way I live.
No.
And people don't want to do that, because we always want to do what's good for me, what works for me, and those types of things.
Now, back to your charity on giving.
Yes.
I wanted you to share really quick
Yes.
some of the things that people could do to give if they wanted to give to your foundation. What are some of the best ways they could do that?
They can go to jeremiahsvoice.org, They can actually go to our Facebook or our Twitter page or our Instagram page or our YouTube page. But JeremiahVoice.org is the best place, because when you go on the website, there's 2 big orange buttons that says donate. If you click there, we accept all donations. $5 will help.
$10
will help.
$15.
$1 million will definitely help. But
just throw it out there.
Hey, call those things that are not
yes,
as though they were.
absolutely.
But
whatever you can give.
Whatever you can give, just help us help others. Because at the end of the day, every dollar that we get, we help other families. And I am excited because when family's life changes, I know that I'm doing my purpose and my calling. And my son is doing his as well, just being who he is. So just remember, JeremiahVoice.org, and share it. Share it on your social media platforms. JeremiahVoice.org is out there. You'll see pictures. If you want to know about Jeremiah and about other people that we're helping, go to our website, go to our social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We are there.
Now, describe the YouTube video you have.
Well, actually, if you go out there,
very impactful.
The latest one that we have literally tells you the story of the birth of Jeremiah's voice. And it gives you the pictures of when Jeremiah was 1 pound, 15 ounces,
so
with
tiny.
tubes coming out of him, in tubes in his mouth, and he's in the incubator while he was living 87 days in the NICU. And you actually get to see it for yourself. So you'll see the 9-year-old that you may see on the front page, but when you click on the YouTube, you'll see his beginnings. And to look at the difference, it should give you 1, hope, 2, inspiration, and 3, a determination to never give up, no matter how hard it is. Think about Jeremiah.
Hope, inspiration, and determination. I absolutely love that. Oh, hallelujah. Now, I wanted,
So we're going to collect the offering. You said hallelujah. I'm sorry, that's the preacher in me.
Now, I also wanted to ask you, out of all your music that you have that you listen to when you need that moment of inspiration and dig down deep in something else that it's inside, what is your go-to inspirational song that you turn to?
I go to, it's by Jacquie Carr. It's You Will Win.
You Will Win.
And the reason I love that song, Jacquie Carr, I'm sorry, Jack said Jacquie, but Jacquie Carr sang the song You Will Win. And it says in that song, everything that's attached to me wins. No matter what happens in your life,
That's right.
I'm going to win. No matter what I go through, I'm a champion. I believe every word of that song when things are the worst.
That is powerful.
And to know that she wrote this song, and that when she wrote it, I believe she was 17, 18, or 19 years old, not really having lived a long life, but had prophetic words to speak into me, because I listen to that song all the time, because I know I'm going to win, but everything attached to me, that includes my children, that includes my mother, that includes what I face in life, it's going to win. I am victorious no matter what I go through. With tears coming down my face, with a mind that may be confused at times and not know what to do, it tells me, Sarah, I'm going to win. But guess what? You're attached to me, Sarah.
Absolutely.
So that means you're going to win.
I am going to win. You're going to win.
And that song
And with
helps
us,
me.
we are victorious right now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So you want to ask me, that's how I hone it. So I keep saying it, my daughter's going to laugh at me, but Jacquie Carr is a phenomenal singer. She has some great, every song that she sings is prophetic, it's futuristic, but it gives you an identity that lets you know that you're bigger, you're stronger. She got some songs that will make you, her and Tasha Cobb's Leonard, I tell you, they give you an identity in who you are, and it pushes you through when you don't want to take another step.
You need to post some of those on our Facebook page.
I will absolutely
What's Your
love
Story
to.
with SarahMarkopoulos.com.
I will definitely do that.
With that, thank you so much, you guys. I'm going to turn it over to our very own announcer, Ken. He is actually going to be playing some music for you today as our musical guest. So excited about having him DJ today. With that, let's give it up for Ken Bell.
Woo!
Hi, my name is Ken Bell. I am your musical guest for What's Your Story with Sarah Markopoulos, and I thank you, Sarah, for letting me come and do this. My name is Ken Bell. I own a company called the Bell Networks. It's a publishing and internet company, broadcasting company. I have 2 internet radio stations. One is Jazz Jams Radio. JazzJams.com is the website. Gospel Inspirations is a 24-hour gospel music station at GospelInspirations.com. Also, because of our first musical guest, DJ Astronaut, I'm on Mixcloud now, and I'm doing big things. I have 2 mixes that have been up to the top 25 on Mixcloud, and this is one of them. It's called my Afro Chill Mix, and we're going to play that right now for you and get everybody up and moving. And we'll be back with more of What's Your Story with Sarah McCopolis in just minutes.